There's no getting away from it. Farming is boring. Now, that doesn't mean that you're not allowed to like farming, but just simply holding 2 buttons down, holding click, or even maybe rebinding your click to a different button so you don't even have to use your mouse and stay at the perfect angle is considerably a little bit boring to most people. Now, farming was tried to be made a little bit more interesting, a bit more interactive with the implementation of pests. I think that definitely worked to an extent, providing something a little bit different and a little bit of change of pace to break up the monotonous farming, you know, while you went ahead and vacuumed all of your pests. At the end of the day, farming is farming, and I feel like there's only so much you can really do with it, considering, I mean, the raw aspect of farming is just simply holding down a few buttons. But last night there was a forum post with a proposal for an idea for a new farming update on the garden, which, to be honest, actually looks pretty cool. So I think today we're going to take a look at it and see, you know, what it's really going to be like. Well, considering the last major garden update before pests was the implementation of the garden, like, this could be actually quite good, considering the garden was probably the best thing they could have possibly done for farming. Because if you thought farming is boring now and just a little bit dull, then you can imagine what it was like before the garden. And the remnants of that can be found on a lot of people's private islands. Look at the state. A forum post from Haskell. Hello. Today we'd like to share more about one of the garden projects we've been working on for the past couple of months. This planned release brings a lot of new additions and changes, including an overhaul to farming tools, a bunch of new visitors, and even custom crops. But in this thread, we want to focus on one particular feature, the greenhouse. And here the greenhouse is in all of its glory. The greenhouse is a new placeable plot in the garden that lets you plant, water and grow crops over multiple real-life hours or days, whether you are online or offline. The goal is to offer a slower, more passive alternative to farming crops actively, while still contributing to your garden progression, including crop milestones. Instead of spending a lot of hours farming directly, you'll be able to plan out your greenhouse, water your crops, and check back later for the results. Also, it introduces new interesting content through the mutation system, but more on that below. So let's dive a bit deeper into how the greenhouse will work in the garden. So to me, it almost sounds like a bit more of a direct, almost like a minion system for farming, even though you can already place farming minions. Of course, it's not going to be completely the same, but, you know, farmers have been, have always been trying to find ways where they can do less and less and still farm, if you know what I'm saying. You know, fuck keyboards and maybe not touching the keyboard at all. I'm only joking, like, at the end of the day, it's boring, I understand. But to be honest, the prospect of that sounds pretty cool. I mean, just like we have the AFK things like the pest traps, the greenhouse makes sense. Well, more on that in just a moment. Before we go any further, if you are planning on purchasing anything from the Hypixel store, make sure to use code NITROS as it gets yourself 5% off. You should join the Discord server, it's linked in the description of this video. We offer slays and dungeon carries, so if you need carries or want to carry and make some coins, make sure to join. Also, if you're not already, you should subscribe to the channel. You'll unlock the greenhouse at garden level 7, where you'll meet a familiar visitor, the carpenter. Completing his offer rewards you with the greenhouse blueprint. After building it, you'll begin an introductory quest that talks you through most of the basics of how the greenhouse actually works, and how to interact with it. Cool. Planting and watering, and then we can kind of see what it looks like inside the greenhouse. Once again, it kind of looks not the same, but almost like a minion sort of setup, with something that looks a little bit more prominent in the middle. And then, I don't know, looks kind of cool, we'll see. Skins and models are a work in progress, they will look a lot better. I mean, it already looks kind of cool, I'm not going to lie. The greenhouse is smaller than a standard garden plot 10 by 10, but crops grown inside the greenhouse yield significantly more on harvest, but they also take longer to grow. After planting, crops will require water to keep growing. To water a plant, you'll need to use a watering can that sprays water on each of the soil plots, and can be upgraded to increase the amount of water and area it sprays in. From there, crops will grow on their own while you're away. The design intention is that players only need to spend a short amount of time per day on the garden, deciding what to plant and how to arrange it, and then come back the next day to harvest them. Although this process sounds fairly straightforward, there are a couple of features on the greenhouse we have not yet talked about, crop effects and mutations. So pretty much kind of what I expected to hear after reading what we read before. This clearly is a way to try and make us be able to farm less but still get similar results to farming for maybe a few hours or so. Which sounds absolutely splendid to me, I can't lie. Crop effects. Let's start by talking about crop effects first. Each crop you plant on the greenhouse actually provides a buff to a nearby crop. For example, wheat grants harvest boosts to nearby crops, granting them a 20% increased yield when harvested. Each crop has its own unique buff that applies to other crops. Some even can provide multiple buffs. Other crops can even apply negative buffs to nearby crops, but they also usually have stronger versions of positive buffs as well. Take the netherwort for example. Netherwort applies improved harvest bonus plus 30% yield and XP loss minus 20% farming XP to nearby crops. As you see, stronger buffs usually come with a certain drawback, so you have to think about which crops you want to place next to each other. Sounds kind of cool, to be honest. Other interesting buffs include immunity, removing negative effects from nearby crops, or even buff spread, spreading its current held buffs to nearby crops. So yeah, there is strategy involved, not wanting to place certain crops next to others depending on how much they yield, how much XP they give, and so on. Mutations. Now let's talk about another feature part of the greenhouse, mutations. When specific crops are arranged around an empty soil plot, that plot has the chance to spread a new mutated crop. There are over 30 different mutations, each with unique requirements and their own growth mechanics and minigames. Each mutation is unique and will need a specific combination of other nearby crops or even other mutations for a chance to spread. As you spread different mutations, you will naturally unlock more new mutations. Mutations stack and build on each other, unlocking more intricate mutations as you progress through the mutation tree. For example, let's showcase one of these mutations. Here you can see the dust grain mutation surrounded by 4 wheat, which is the requirement for it to spread to the middle plot. Whether it actually spreads into the middle plot depends on the growth cycle, which triggers every few hours in the greenhouse and updates all crop mutations simultaneously. Dust grain is one of the simplest mutations. It grows instantly, requires no water, and has no unique minigame, and only needs 4 wheats to spread nearby. But as you unlock more unique mutations, things get more complex. Mutations will take time to grow, need water, or have unique mechanics, such as a flower that falls occasionally asleep and must be woken up. Cheese-like mutation that attracts rats to your greenhouse, or even a chorus fruit mutation. Yeah, bro, I don't know what I'm saying. That teleports you around the greenhouse as it keeps growing. Probably butchered that pronunciation. So while it sounds pretty straightforward to just basically say that it's going to be AFK farming, it does seem like there's a lot more to it than just simply place crops down and let them grow and collect them the next day. I feel like you could probably do that, but you're probably not going to be massively efficient in doing so. Future plans for the garden. We are interested to see what you guys think about the greenhouse and if it's something that's worth expanding upon for the garden, as it provides a new path to progress inside the garden, allowing players to both have the option to choose whether or not you are more interested in active or passive farming with the greenhouse is one of the goals we are aiming for. At this stage, we are still experimenting what the right balance of the different playstyles might be and how that will look in the future, but for now, both of them will have certain exclusive items or features you might not find in the other, but that might change. Which is kind of cool, because that means there's still going to be things that you can't get from passively farming from active farming, and the same the other way around. After the release of part 2, we'll likely take a break from the garden to focus on other content. In the future, we would like to expand the garden to the newest Minecraft version and add husbandry related content, allowing you to feed, breed and farm animals that you hold in the garden. Now that would be really cool, because at the moment that's kind of a whole separate part of the game. It's kind of an outdated part of the game, you know, with all the animals like in the farm and stuff. Not really much love is spent on that side of the game, it's more just farming, so that would be cool to see. Crop milestones. Even with the addition of the greenhouse, we felt that the current crop milestones, especially in the latter stages, are still too high, which is why we are planning to cut down the crop milestones by a further whopping 68% across the board, which is insane. We think that with the combination of the greenhouse and this nerf, crop milestones should be a lot more achievable for more players and no longer a massive grind as it is right now, which I think is a huge W. I cannot lie. This nerf will take place with the release of the greenhouse, currently planned to release later this year. We wanted to give players a heads up now so you can plan accordingly. Basically, in other words, so if you are farming a ridiculous amount at the moment, probably stop if it's just for milestones, because you've probably already got them. Now, this nerf in particular to the amount of crops that you need for the milestones, I can see some people getting angry who have already farmed a ton, who have specifically farmed for the milestones for XP. That has took them a very long time to get all of the milestones done, and now it's being cut back massively again. I feel like that could be quite annoying. and you know you have to spend an absolute ridiculous amount of time that isn't particularly, it's not interesting to do, it's just completely mundane farming. Yeah, I can imagine some people might not be too happy with this, but I think overall for the health of the game, it is a good thing. But yeah, those people that have already got the milestones, that specifically went for the milestones, yeah, that's kind of tough.